Hey, welcome back to another Shop Short. I get this question a lot, and that is, why is my Shopsmith bogging down? And boy, are there lots of reasons, and many of those are things that are user error. So I want to just run through a few of these, and I look forward to your questions, comments, and cheap shots. The first one that I typically find is that people are running their machines on inappropriate extension cords. Either they are way too long for their needs or they're way too small a gauge wire. This building right here was wired with a 10 gauge wire, but most of my extension cords and even power cords on my machine here have a 12 gauge wire. Now, the lower the number, the higher the voltage that can pass through. So a 10 gauge is a better wire, a larger wire than a 12 gauge, which itself is larger than a 14, a 16, an 18, and so on. If you've worked at all with any low voltage lighting like LED lights, you'll find that those wires and cables, to be fair, I often refer to a cable as a wire. A cable is two or more wires together. But those for low voltage lighting run somewhere between 18 to 22 gauge because they're carrying low voltage, direct current over a very short distance. Well, most of our machines, if not all of them, are alternating current. Most of them are induction motors, unless we're talking about a router or a hand tool. And those require a ton of voltage and amperage. So a couple things we've got to watch out for. The motor inside of this headstock, and they vary. This one is drawing 15 amps at 110, 114, 115, 120 volts. Just depends on your power. Ideally, we don't use an extension cord, but I typically find the cord's just a little bit too short. So the goal here is to get as short a length extension cord and as high a gauge as you can afford or find. For example, here's a very, very short power bar or power strip. This one is only made to power 15 amps of usage, which would mean I wouldn't want to run my Shopsmith and my dust collector on this one strip. Same is true of your circuits in your shop. In an ideal world, every single outlet in your shop is on its own circuit. Odds are we don't have that luxury. So I would check to find out whether that outlet over there might be on a different circuit than that outlet over there. You can test this by plugging items in, maybe lights or radios, and then hit your breakers and see if one of them stays on while the other one goes off. That's great. So I've been a proponent of this style of switch for a while now. I like this because I can plug this into the wall, and then I can plug my shop vacuum in here, or my dust collector, and then I can plug my tool in here or here. That means when I turn my Shopsmith on, it will turn on first, and then after a few seconds, giving it a chance to get up to full speed, then this outlet will turn on, sending power to the shop vacuum or the dust collector. Now, that said, your circuits may not be able to handle that, but then again, they might. One big condition is, are you running these devices, the Shopsmith, your router table, your dust collector, are you running those on extension cords? If you must, again, use as short a length of extension cord as you can get and as high a gauge, low a number as you can find. This thing has worked great for me in most applications, but I was running my equipment on a long extension cord and it didn't work at all. Speaking of extension cords, this one right here is a 12 gauge extension cord. It's 25 feet long. So to begin with, it's already a smaller gauge cable than I have running in this space. And now I'm going to be powering tools 25 feet away from the outlet. Some tools will work just fine with this. Again, some hand tools, a drill, a router, items like that. But I would never plug that switch into a 25-foot 12 gauge cord and then try to turn my Shopsmith on and my Shopsmith dust collector. That puts us at a total of, how many? 3/4? So about a 1 7/8 horsepower running on this. That's going to be a problem because of its length. A couple more things that may be contributing to what you're experiencing as power loss, depending upon the tool you're running. Let's say you're using your table saw and you're cutting through stock. Make sure your blade is sharp. Make sure your blade is correct for the application. Not every blade can be used for every application. I tend to use a 40-tooth combination for a lot of the cuts I make, but if all I'm going to do all day long is rip stock, I put a ripping blade on. And what that does is it allows the machine to run at a higher speed without bogging down. Second thing that you can do when you're using this machine is you can turn the speed dial down if you have a mechanical headstock. The higher you go in speed, the less torque you have at the spindle. Let me repeat that. If you're running very, very low speed, drilling, sanding, things like that, you have a ton of torque. But at higher speeds, you're getting a little bit of slipping on the two belts that are in this machine. So we want to possibly, if you're sawing and you got the correct blade and it's clean and everything's working properly, but you're finding it's bogging down, slow the speed dial down a bit. You can actually go below sawing speed down into the dado speed, and you might find that the saw blade will maintain power better. Don't feed too quickly, and just take your time. And speaking of those belts, the lower belt on your machine automatically tensions itself. That's assuming that you've kept everything properly lubricated. I would direct you to my 25-hour maintenance video if you're questioning whether or not everything's properly lubricated. The upper belt here has to be tensioned by you. It's something that we do manually, and occasionally those belts need to be tensioned, and occasionally they need to be replaced. So keep an eye on that. It's a whole other video. Maybe I'll link to some other videos by Jacob Anderson, who would walk you through the changing of the upper belt. And in my 25-hour maintenance video, I show you how to deal with the lower belt. So many more things that we should and could consider here, but I would say keep an eye on your speed, make sure your belt tension's right, make sure everything's properly lubricated. Your extension cord, if you're using one, is as short as possible and as large a gauge as you can justify. I'll link to some that I use, but you know what? You can find them everywhere. So there's no reason to use an inappropriate extension cord. All right, leave your questions, comments, cheap shots down below, and make it a great day.